Hey, everybody. I'm actually going live. This is the first time I've gone live in a really long time. It's been quite a while, but it is good to be back. One of the things that I wanted to do is just kind of briefly introduce you to PK4L. We actually, on our page, we have an introduction video, runs about 5 minutes. Try to get it out there, but I still feel like there's a lot of people that wonder, okay, what are you doing? Preparing kids for life. What we really found is that for Vicky and myself, we discovered that parents really were having a hard time, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We're going to get into some of those, and then we'll also get into some other stuff too. But one of the things that I guess you could say, like, why we exist, why we're here, why we're around, why we do what we do, is because we have felt that parents, in particular, the family in general, has been under attack for a very, very long time. There's been kind of this Homer Simpsonization, if you will, of the American family, where families are mocked. And even if they're not being directly attacked or jabbed, and cut to pieces, they're mocked. And what happens when you mock something and make fun of it long enough, over enough times, you start to disrespect it. You start to dishonor it. It starts to lose its value. You see it as something that's, So I'm going to take my glasses off. There's like such a glare coming off of them. But anyways, my eyes are getting bad. Anyway, so the thing is that in all of this, a lot of parents feel like, all right, what can we do? Because if you think about it, right? When we're at the hospital getting our children for the very first time, there's not like an instruction manual that comes with them. And when we're confronted with that reality, literally all we have to go on from that point forward is however we were parented. Maybe we've read a couple parenting books. Maybe you've gone to a seminar or two. Maybe your pastor talked about it once or twice. But basically, for all intents and purposes, parents are completely and utterly on their own. You're just winging it and hoping for the best, right? And so it's not a position of confidence. It's not a position of, hey, I'm new at this, but I'm up to the task. It's more like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm just going to listen to whatever the experts tell me for the rest of my life until my child is old enough that I can't screw them up anymore. It's kind of a depressing. I mean, I know that maybe no one says it that bluntly, and that's kind of a depressing thing to think about, but that's realistically how this is approached. And so and then you couple that with the fact that we're bombarded as parents by people saying, listen to the experts, they know. Well, do they? I mean, who are they? All they've done is they've gone to school and they have a degree. Like, in other words, when you think about it, if you are going to, let's say, God forbid, your child required life-saving surgery, would you go to the doctor that had the most degrees at the end of his name? Or would you go find the doctor that has had the most successful surgeries performed on this type of situation? Right? I mean, when it really comes down to it, when the rubber meets the road, no one cares about experts. They care about results. They care about, well, what does it actually look like? And so for us, that's a roundabout way of saying this is what's pulled us into this amazing thing called PK4L, because we feel like it's a platform to really help empower parents. We're not better than parents. We're not gurus. We've just done things and probably made more mistakes than you have. And we were fortunate enough to learn from those mistakes and then take our knowledge from learning those mistakes and giving it to you in such a way that it helps you not have to make those mistakes, right? I mean, it's always nicer to learn from someone else's mistakes than to have to learn from your own, right? As I used to tell my students that all the time. It's why we studied history, so you can learn from other people's mistakes. You don't have to make those mistakes yourself. So that's kind of the idea behind it. But anyways, so that's why we really created this, is because of the state of the family today. And we feel like, we want to do our part to help support families, because frankly, they're the cornerstone. Families are the cornerstone of every society. And as the family goes, so does that society. That's a historical fact. You can go back to Edward Gibbon. He wrote this seminal work on the rise and decline of the Roman Empire, and he's writing about all kinds of different historical figures in the Goths and the Visigoths and the family this and that. But at the end of the day, the core conclusion that he comes to, and he's not even a Christian or a believer that I know of, but his bottom line conclusion was, as the family goes, so does society. And the fall and decline of the Roman Empire started with the fall and decline of the family. And so this is something that, my wife and I are extremely passionate about, because we feel like, what? Parents are awesome. Think about it. God has literally billions of people on planet Earth to choose from. He could have picked any parent he wanted for your kids. He picked you. That's because you have something special and unique that you are intended to leave behind as a legacy for your children. But that's not how parents are made to feel. Parents aren't made to feel like, I have something valuable and important to contribute to my life. It's more like, hey, try to stay out of the way, leave it to the experts, and minimize the amount of damage you're going to do to your kids. Now, again, it's probably not stated with that level of bluntness, but it's there nonetheless. It's something that is become sadly in the drinking water of society. We see it in movies. We see it in sitcoms. We see it everywhere around us. The family is increasingly discredited, and more effort is put into that intent to discredit. And so it's really reaching a point where parents are kind of in a bit of a desperation mode now, because what do you do? Where do you go? And I think that one of the things that we have found is that it really truly begins with the parent. You may have heard the cliche, you can't give what you don't have. Well, if we as parents haven't been trained, if we haven't been educated, if we haven't been, basically where somebody's giving us a map and then showing us how to follow the map, right? What about our own childhoods? What if we came from dysfunctional families? What if we came from unhappy upbringings? What then? So what happens is, whatever we don't deal with, we simply pass on to our kids, for better or worse. And that's obviously not something that any parent wants to do. They don't want to, that was, to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons I felt so insecure about becoming a dad, was because there was all these things going on inside of me where I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm such a mess. I mean, who knows how badly I'm going to mess this kid up. I used to joke with people. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really saving for college. We have a therapy fund that we're saving for. And I was kind of joking, but kind of not. And the reason for that is because I felt so insecure about being able to really help my child become her best. And honestly, the source of that insecurity was realizing that I had all these unresolved issues inside of me. I had all these unresolved wounds and all this pain that I hadn't really addressed or dealt with. And at that time, I was at risk for simply passing that down to my daughter. Not because I wanted to, not because I'm a bad person, not because of any of those reasons, but simply because you don't know what you don't know. I mean, like, I didn't know how to be any different. I didn't know how to see things any different. So how could I? And so that's kind of one of the things that has become, again, all part of our own journey and all part of our desire to really help come alongside parents and give parents, the mindset and the map they need to really successfully navigate this this thing called parenting, this journey, right? The toughest job you'll ever love, as they say. The thing is, though, is that what I love about this idea of a map, right, is that maps don't tell you where to go. They don't tell you how fast to go, and they don't tell you how you should travel the terrain. They simply give you the lay of the land. And then it's up to you to decide how you want to cover it. And our mindset is really like the GPS. It's the mindset is what makes sure that we're always knowing where the points of the compass are so that we don't get lost, right? It's not telling us exactly where to go at any given time. It just says, this is where you are so that you know how to best utilize the map. And that mindset is important because if we're struggling with all of this doubt, with all this insecurity, then we're parenting out of reaction. We're parenting out of fear. We're parenting out of anxiety. We're parenting from a place of insecurity. And I don't mean, the goal here, by the way, is not to become like some sort of parenting guru, where you sort of live on the mountaintop of serenity and, no, that's not it. That's not the point. That's not what it looks like. What it looks like, though, is where every day you can look at it and say, you know what? I know I love my kid the best I could today. And I'm committed to learning how to love them even better tomorrow. That's really what it boils down to. It's not some big, we want to make everything complicated. And probably one of my favorite expressions, if you know me at all, is it's very simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple. And it's so true. Parenting is the same way. There is a way that things work. And so once you have the mindset, once you have the map, it really does become an exciting journey. Are there obstacles? Sure there are. Are there hardships? Sure there are. Are there times where you're frustrated? Sure there are. Just think about any trip you've ever taken, right? Think about any vacation you've ever gone on. Now, obviously you have these wonderful pictures, these wonderful memories that you've taken with you, but there's things that were not so great. For example, I went to Russia a few years ago with my friend Christian to speak at a conference. Amazing. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, on so many levels, I'm not even going to get into it here, but suffice it to say, this was just an incredible trip. I mean, it was amazing. It was beautiful. And we went to Moscow, we went to St. Petersburg. It was just gorgeous. I mean, the things I saw there, the things I experienced there, it was just, it was incredible. But they also lost my luggage. So the first 3 days, I am in the same underwear, the same socks, the same, I'm like in the same clothes for 3 days. That's how I started my trip. So, you know what I mean? So I say that just to say this. Oh, and then by the way, then at one point, our baggage also, it took them so long to just offload our baggage that we actually missed our connecting flight. And we had an hour and a half between the connecting flights. So anyways, it was a fantastic trip, but I share that to say that there were also complications. There were also obstacles that were in the midst of that trip. It wasn't just this smooth sailing. And so that's kind of the same way with parenting. It's like, look, you have a map, you have a mindset, and now there's just the journey that lies ahead. And it's going to be amazing because, like I said earlier, you have something that God wants you to give your children, that He knows no one else but you can give that unique thing. Now, that's an incredible gift. It's also an incredible responsibility. But the only way to really, truly experience the amazing wonder of that is to be willing to deal with our own stuff. Because like I said, whatever we don't deal with, our kids will. And we want the absolute best for our children. And because of that, we should want the absolute best for ourselves, right? We want to be healed so that that's the place we come from with our children, a place of healing. You know, the womb, and again, it isn't this kind of mystical serenity that you somehow like you're the guru on the mountaintop. What it really boils down to, the best way I can think of to explain it is it's like scars. You know, the amazing thing about scars is they prove that the wound was real, that the wound mattered. But you know what scars also prove? That the wound has been healed. And I love that. And so as parents, the idea is to take these scars and use them as reminders of how much God has given us to give to our kids, that we have something incredible to contribute to their life. There is a path to share with them. There's an experience to have with them that's impossible to describe. It's impossible to encapsulate it with words. It's something that can only be experienced. And this is what my wife and I want to do with parents, is we want to just be guides along the way, you know, to share whatever it is we've learned that has made the path easier so that you can get further faster than we ever imagined possible for ourselves. And that's the whole point. You know, when I was a teacher, I used to tell my students, you know, my goal for this year in teaching you is to become irrelevant. And they're like, what? I'm like, it's because I want you to develop the skills to truly think for yourselves, to truly be the best, so that you don't need me to help you be the best. Now you are pushing yourself to be your best. You no longer need me to encourage you. You now have the security and the strength to do it for yourself. You know, it's like the greatest gift of parenting is to help your children reach a place where they can get along without you, right? Not that they forget you or they stop loving you. I just mean where they don't need you. They're free to simply enjoy the relationship because there isn't something they need from you. It's just mutual enjoyment. It's this incredible experience. And that's what we're trying to really help parents experience with their parenting. And that's really what we're all about. So these weekly broadcasts are just going to be about ways that we can do that. And some of that is, like where basically we are going to have like this private Facebook group. It's PK4L 360 Parenting. And so it's all things parenting, everything related or connected to parenting. We're going to talk about. Now, I have plenty of things. You know, we've written books, we've created online courses, we've done seminars, webinars, we have a podcast, and we have all different kinds of outlets and mediums of information. But what I really am hoping for this group to become is a place where people can come to and they have questions. And we can answer those questions. We can be there for you. We can serve you. That you know, you don't have to feel like I'm in this alone. There's nobody else that gets where I'm at. Like I'm the worst parent in the world. No, you're not. No, you're not. You know, it's just you're a frustrated parent because you don't maybe have all the parts of the map yet, or maybe the mindset isn't all there yet. But no. Like I said, God could have given your kids to anybody he wanted. And there's like 7.4 billion people on this planet to choose from. God chose you. There's something important and valuable that you have to give your kids. And the point of PK4L 360 Parenting is to really explore all of that. So again, this is our first broadcast. There'll be many more to come. But just join our Facebook group, PK4L360 Parenting, and we have a lot more great stuff to give you guys, show you guys, and more importantly, just talk with you. Like the most frustrating part of this whole COVID thing is I thrive on being able to connect to people and talk to people, and it's like, Zoom is okay, but it's not the same, I mean, and so this Facebook group is kind of the closest I can get to just sort of like hanging out, having some coffee, and conversing. So this is the online version of that, is basically what I really want this group to be, where you feel safe, you feel secure, and you can ask real, open, honest questions that you really need answers to. So anyways, I'm looking forward to this, and I've enjoyed our time together. If you have any questions, you can just go join that group. And like I said, we'll put them together. And I do have an idea of kind of what I want to do each week, but I'm leaving a big part of that open to, if there's a question that arises, then I want to devote my time to that and serve you guys any way I can. So you have a great day, and we'll be talking to you soon.